The internet is rife with horror stories, fictitious as well as real-life events that happen to unsuspecting victims. From ghosts lingering in your home to another version of yourself existing in a mirror realm, or even a creepy cursed road. There are endless stories to keep you up tonight, so I headed over to Reddit to find some of the scariest. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 scary stories you won't believe. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. Coming in at number 5, we have Shh, uploaded to Reddit by user Fuzzy Bandits. Love the name, big fan, 10 out of 10. They talk about the time they encountered something truly bizarre in their home. I quote, "When I was a teenager, I used to babysit my cousin Alyssa. She was little, maybe almost 2, maybe a little older, old enough to say sentences. I'm giving her a bath before bed when she looks out into the hallway and gets a terrified look on her face and starts crying. At this moment, my auntie's Pomeranian starts going nuts as well, barking and growling in the hallway. The atmosphere in the room became uncomfortable and I started getting scared. I took her downstairs from the 3rd floor in the townhouse to try and calm her down. I asked her what was wrong and she said something along the lines of, 'The man with the black eyes was there.' When I continued to pry, she looked up at the 2nd floor stairs, her eyes getting big, and looked at me, bringing her finger up to her mouth and saying, 'Shh,' or shaking her head no. No thank you, I hate every single part of this. If this happened to me, I'd be out there in a second. She can find her own babysitter. If she's old enough to talk, she's old enough to look after herself." Coming in at number 4, we have Unwanted Tenants. Posted to Reddit by user Vanilla Gorilla, they tell of an awful time they spent in a potentially haunted home. I quote, "My daughter was 4 years old when we lived in our last home. I was a single mum at the time, so it was just she and I alone in the home. I always got an uncomfortable feeling in her room, particularly in the closet area, but never thought much of it. Until one evening, I had to put her to bed, and as I was doing chores, I walked by her room and heard her whispering. I listened for a bit, thinking she was talking to herself, but it was definitely a two-way conversation with her saying, 'uh-huh, okay,' and stuff like that. I walked in and asked her who she was talking to. She smiled uncomfortably and said, 'No one.' I took her out into the hall and she wouldn't say anything, but I could tell she was afraid. Finally, we went outside of the house. She said there was a man in her room who didn't want us in the house, and he had told her this and to tell her mum to leave. Moved us out a month later. She has not since ever had an episode like this. Honestly, this reminds me of something straight out of the Amityville Horror, The Others, or even The Conjuring 2 with the old man in his chair. If a spirit wants you out the house, I highly suggest you just get out of the house while you can. Don't f with the dead." Coming in at number 3, the Doppelganger. Posted to Reddit by Quiet Voice 4846, they discuss the time they saw something very peculiar in the mirror. I quote, "Late at night I usually go to the bathroom multiple times, but for the past 4 days, every time I go to leave, I can see myself standing in the mirror from the corner of my eye. It is like the other me is watching me leave the bathroom. It terrifies me to the point where I almost run out without looking directly at the mirror. I never told my husband about it because I didn't want to acknowledge it out loud. Earlier today I took a nap in our bed while he sat in the chair next to it watching TV. When I woke up he told me that he had seen me sit up and crawl backward to the edge of the bed and stand in front of our bedroom door from the corner of his eye. He thought it was weird that I got up like that because I'm in my last month of my pregnancy and I can't really move so good without it hurting, so he tried talking to me. When I didn't answer, he looked at the door to find me not there and still sleeping in bed. I got really creeped out and I finally told him about what I had been seeing in the bathroom. He thought it was creepy as well but didn't really want to talk about it anymore because he thinks it will give whatever it is power or energy. I have no idea what it wants or why we both saw it. Honestly, if I were them, I would leave that house and never look back. Or she's having a demon baby. That as well. I think it's a demon baby." Coming in at number 2, Haunted Hotels. Posted to Reddit by Bright_eyes10, they state, "When I was 15 I travelled to Europe with my family. We stayed in Etel, Germany in a small inn for a few nights. My parents had a double bed on the 2nd floor, my sisters had the double bedroom next to theirs, and I was lucky enough to have a single room, all to myself at the far end of the hall. When we went to check into our rooms, as soon as I entered the hallway our rooms were in, I remember almost feeling as though I walked into a wall of bad energy. I just felt so unnerved and uneasy in that hallway, but I passed it off as an overactive imagination. I slept the first night without any issues other than waking up a few times. The next morning at breakfast, one of my sisters mentioned feeling really uncomfortable in the hallway, almost as if the air was crushing her. It unnerved me even more that I wasn't the only one who felt weirded out. plus she was an adult at the time, so it further cemented in my head that the wing of the hotel was odd. Later that night, I'm sleeping peacefully when at about 2 AM, I'm woken by something ripping the covers off of me and being jerked about 2 feet towards the end of my bed by my ankle. At first, I thought someone had broken into my room because when I turned towards what had grabbed me, a huge looming black shape was visible in the darkness, like a man was in my room. I frantically flipped the lights on only to have there be nothing there. The window was locked from the inside, there was no one in the closet or the bathroom, and my room was also still locked from the inside. I stayed up the rest of the night scared. The user goes on to state that the next morning she tells her sister about what happened, but what she doesn't expect is that her sister also saw the same silhouetted figure standing in the corner of the room. Absolutely terrifying. No thank you. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have Purgatory Road. Posted to Reddit by an unknown user, they tell of the time they took a road trip from New York City to Rhode Island back in August of 2018. I quote, "None of us had been to Rhode Island before, so we were excited about the drive, especially because we had rented a Mustang convertible for it. We left a little later than expected. It was about 10:30 PM, and since it was a busy Friday night, we decided to punch our destination into the Waze traffic app to beat the traffic." Love the subtle Waze promo there. Respect. Anyway, they continue by saying, "Eventually we started losing steam, so my friend in the backseat fell asleep and I just kept driving along quietly, when my friend in the passenger seat told me to exit the freeway to take a side road. At first, driving on the unlit winding back roads was relaxing, but then the wind picked up and it got increasingly foggy and misty. I wasn't scared per se, just a little on edge. I thought about pulling over to put the top up but decided against it since there were no cars in sight. Heavy rain was projected for the entire weekend, so I wanted to get the most out of the convertible, so I kept going along as normal, if not a little too fast to get back to the main roads as quickly as possible when something just shifted. I don't know how to explain it other than an unsettling exposed feeling. I remember pulling my sweater over my legs to cover up. Then my friend up front told me to look at the street sign in the distance. It read, Purgatory. Seconds later we went around a bend where a large red cross was installed. Then around the next bend, a big truck came hurtling down the one-lane road aimed straight at us. The user goes on to state that they swerved to the side, narrowly avoiding getting crushed by the truck. They all felt disturbed and unsettled about what had happened. However, the user decided to look up the road, which was revealed to be situated next to an old graveyard. They also discovered that 2 teen girls had died there in August of 2011 in an accident on their way to visit the grave of Rhode Island's infamous vampire Mercy Brown, who died in 1892. Apparently they decided to go down the dark windy road because they thought it looked haunted. Turns out it may very well be. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any scary stories that we missed? What's the scariest thing that has ever happened to you? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 scary true stories from North America. Nightflame 3000 said, "Love to see the Dark Queen also has her moments where she fails, making her seem more human, and just love the way she just curses naturally." Yeah, I have a potty mouth and I do all the time. Thanks. Glad you appreciate. Blue Dragon Custom said, "Anyone else notice that Lucy isn't as pale?" I actually am still as pale, right Chris? But it's the camera. It's making me look darker. I can see myself in another monitor here and I'm almost blinding myself. It's quite aggressive. Don't worry. I'm still the pale queen. Ninja Von D said, "Lucy, you make these top 5s creepier than they're supposed to be." I know. Just existing, I'm making things creepier than they're supposed to be. What can you do? Zachary Rogers said, "I'm from Bennington, Vermont." Well, that's unfortunate. I'm so sorry. You must have a hard time not disappearing. Oh, that's a little insensitive to the people that did disappear there. Doug Gray said, "On number 2, why does it look like she's crying?" I don't know. I haven't cried in my life, so maybe I yawned. Sometimes my eyes get watery when I yawn. Who knows? I'm sorry. I'll have to go back and look at that. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, I'll see you later. I need friends. I don't got none. Just kidding, I've got a lot. Like 5. Not to show off or anything. I'm not that popular, I'm not Chris. Editors, this video has to be 10 minutes, otherwise Dylan will kill me. Got some bloopers, put in clips, do whatever you can, otherwise I'm not here tomorrow because I'll be in the ditch.